Hi everybody, this is Ross Stowers. I want to welcome you back to our ministry video blog. My family and I are on staff with Athletes in Action Global Football, which is part of the sport ministry of Cru. We're doing this 3-part mini-series in a way to connect better with our ministry team, but really anyone who wants to know more about what we do and the vision that we have going forward. One question you might have is, why sport? Or even, why football? You know, these are some of the questions we had to think through as we really felt God calling us into this new ministry. One way that we came to this conclusion is we started to think about our ministry as if we were entrepreneurs in business. We started to use language like, what problems are we trying to solve in our market? What are some unfair advantages we have as a ministry? What products do we want to create for the people we're ministering to? And even, what's a business plan that we have going forward that we want to give to God for Him to use to bring about His glory and to share His gospel? The reason why Lindsay and I joined staff over 15 years ago is that we believe for us the most important thing that we could do as a profession is share the gospel with people. And in particular, we're drawn to areas that are resistant to the gospel. And so that's the problem we want to solve with our startup. As we did research into this problem, we found that there are several key areas around the world that are resistant to the gospel. The first of which is called closed countries. Closed countries are countries where it is illegal to be a Christian, to convert or be converted to Christianity, or the only way Christians can legally practice or meet is under regulated governmental control. The research showed that there are 3 main types of closed countries. The first of which is Islamic law countries, which makes up most of the Middle East and Central Asia. It is projected that Muslims are the only major religious group to increase faster than the world's population as a whole. They are projected to grow by 73% from 2010 to 2050. The next is communist rule countries like China. We hear about how much the church is growing in the largest nation of the world, of over 1.38 billion people. But despite the growth, Christians are only 5% of the population. The third is like India, where you have to register with the government as a Christian, and there are laws that limit how you can share your faith. India is the second largest country with 1.33 billion people, and only 2.3% of the population is Christian. These are the main areas that make up closed countries. We hope Christ will use us to be salt and light in these places. The next main area that is resistant to the gospel are post-truth and post-Christian cultures. A post-truth culture is defined as this: a culture relating or denoting circumstances in which objective facts are less influential in shaping public opinion than appeals to emotion and personal belief. This graph shows the results of a poll taken in the U.S. to indicate where the U.S. is within a post-truth way of thought. It asked if people agreed with the statement, "Whatever is right for your life or works best for you is the only truth you can know." 74% of all millennials at least somewhat agreed with that statement, and 41% of all Christians even somewhat agreed with that statement. That shows that our culture is drifting into a post-truth way of thought. A post-Christian culture often walks hand in hand with a post-truth culture. A post-Christian society is not merely a society in which agnosticism or atheism is the prevailing fundamental belief. It is a society rooted in the history, culture, and practices of Christianity, but in which religious beliefs of Christianity have either been rejected or forgotten. Here's some research that's been done on the post-Christian culture. It is projected by the year 2050 that almost 66 million people will leave the church, while the group that grows the most by 61 million is a group called unaffiliated, which means that they have no religious identity. They're people who believe that they know what the truth is, so they're part of that post-truth culture as well. These resistant areas are the problems that we're trying to solve. But despite all this, we are seeing God do amazing things, because He has given us the ultimate unfair advantage to solve these problems, which is Christ. And Christ has given us the tools for Him to work through us. One of those greatest tools is relationship. Like Jesus said in John 13:35, "By this everyone will know you are my disciples, if you love one another." However, sometimes it's hard to get into relationships, and then once in a relationship, get to the point of making an impact, especially in these areas that are resistant to the gospel. First thing is to find a key to start a relationship. This key is typically an area of commonality. Sport is the largest area of commonality crossover in these resistant areas. So that is the answer to the question, why sport? Because it is the key that gets us in the door. But once we've started these relationships, how do we get them to trust us enough to make an impact in their lives? First, we offer value, which earns trust, that forms relationships, and relationships built on value and trust are meaningful relationships that make an impact. This is how we show love that is attractive and makes room for the gospel to enter in. We have seen that the value we can offer people within sport that is an unfair advantage in these resistant areas is American football. Did you know that football is the fastest growing sport by percentage in the world? The International Federation of American Football has official leagues in 72 countries and is developing football in 45 more countries. There are professional football leagues on 6 out of the 7 continents of the world. Football is quickly forming and gaining interest in the 2 largest countries in the world, China and India. There are professional football leagues in the Islamic countries of Egypt and Turkey and forming in several others. In Europe alone, there are more than 1,500 club teams. This answers the question, why football? Because as Americans, it is our unfair advantage. So this line of logic that we've taken you through today not only works out on paper, but it works out in real life as well. God's shown us that over the past 8 years. And what started with a simple step of faith of me joining an Italian football team to learn the language and make a few friends turned into an incredible journey where he showed us that these friendships can become meaningful relationships that he can have an impact in by him showing his love through us and being able to work with these people. And we know that's why football is an incredible tool. Without that sport, we never would have been able to get into these people's lives. And so we hope to continue to do that around the world. We've seen it not only happen in Italy, but in several resistant areas around the world, including here in the U.S. And so thanks for joining us. We hope that this answered a few of your questions, like why sport, why football, what are some of our problems and unfair advantages that we have. And so we hope you'll join us again next time to learn more about who we're ministering to and how we're going to do that, and some stories about the impact that that's made in people's lives. So we hope to see you then. Thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you later.